At my engagement party, my MIL pulled me aside and whispered, "You'll never be good enough for my son. But we'll fix that." The cake was beautiful until I took a bite and found a tiny note inside. "Get out while you can." My fiancé laughed when I showed him. It's just her humor. But then I saw the security footage from the caterer. And what she slipped into his drink still keeps me up at night. I met Adam at a Halloween party in 2019. I went as a tired nurse. He went as a lazy vampire. We hit it off. I liked that he wasn't trying too hard to impress me. Or at least I thought he wasn't. We started dating seriously a few months later. By the start of 2021, we were living together in a quiet neighborhood just outside Asheville, North Carolina. He proposed in May. He took me to Mount Mitchell, we watched the sunset, and he got down on one knee. It was perfect. I cried. I said yes. That was before I really got to know his mother, Marlene. The first time we met, she hugged me hard, smiled wide, and said, "So you're the one stealing my baby boy." She laughed after she said it. I didn't. It didn't feel like a joke. She was polite around Adam, but cold when he turned his back. Little digs, always just low enough not to be obvious. "You're not much of a cook, huh? That's an interesting outfit choice. You must have had a hard childhood. Your posture's terrible." Adam would say, "That's just how she is. She doesn't mean it." But that wasn't true. Fast forward to our engagement party. My parents spent weeks planning it. They hired a jazz trio, rented out the whole patio at the country club, and even got custom favors with our initials on them. Everything looked perfect. Adam's parents came late. His dad was quiet. Marlene came in wearing a long white dress. Not cream, not ivory, pure white, with lace. My mom gave me a look. I knew exactly what it meant. I smiled through my teeth and greeted her. She acted like nothing was wrong. I didn't think she'd try anything serious. I thought she just didn't like me. I thought maybe she'd make a scene or embarrass me somehow. But I didn't think she'd go this far. Halfway through the night, I went to grab a mini cupcake from the dessert table. That's when Marlene appeared next to me, holding her wine like it was part of her arm. "You look fine," she said. I thanked her, even though it didn't sound like a compliment. She stepped closer. "I just want to say something, woman to woman," she whispered. She touched my hand, gently, like she was about to pray with me. "You'll never be good enough for my son. But don't worry, we'll fix that." She smiled, sipped her wine, walked away. I stood there, frozen. For a second, I honestly thought maybe I misheard. Or misunderstood. But I didn't. I knew what she said. I knew what she meant. I told Adam. He laughed. That's just her twisted sense of humor. She probably meant she's going to help us plan stuff better. He didn't get it. He didn't want to get it. I let it go. I was too tired to fight at my own party. I figured we'd talk about it later, when we weren't surrounded by relatives and old coworkers. Then came the cake. It was a 5-tier cake, classic, clean, white frosting with a little gold trim. Vanilla bean and raspberry. We'd tasted samples months earlier and picked it together. It was perfect. Everyone gathered around. The photographer made us hold the knife just right. We smiled. We posed. We fed each other bites. That's when I noticed something weird. My second bite didn't taste right. I felt something soft but stiff between my tongue and teeth. I pulled it out. A tiny, folded note. It was greasy from the cake, the ink a little smudged. "Get out while you can." I stared at it. I looked around. Nobody was watching. I showed it to Adam. He blinked. "What the hell? Is this a joke?" Then he laughed. Like really laughed. Oh my God, it's probably from my mom. That's such her sense of humor. I didn't laugh. "You think that's funny?" "She probably slipped it in as a prank," he said. "It's weird, but it's just how she is." I didn't eat any more cake. I just sat there, trying to smile for pictures, while my stomach felt like a rock. I couldn't stop thinking about that note. So the next morning, I drove to the catering company. I told them I found something in the cake, and I wasn't mad, just concerned. They were really apologetic. Said it shouldn't have happened. I didn't want to accuse anyone without proof. Then the manager said, there was something odd that night. One of our kitchen staff mentioned a guest was hovering near the drinks table longer than usual. We do have cameras in the prep area. You want to take a look? I said yes. It took about an hour. We went through the tape. And there she was. Marlene. Standing in the back corner where the drinks were prepped before being carried out. She had something in her hand. A small glass vial. She looked around, then poured it into a glass of dark liquor. Stirred it. Walked away. My heart stopped. It was Adam's drink. He was the only one drinking whiskey that night. I stared at the screen, numb. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I didn't know what she gave him. I still don't. But I know what I saw. And I know it wasn't a joke. This wasn't just about her not liking me. This was something else. Something much worse. And I wasn't going to let it go. I didn't tell Adam right away. I drove home with my heart pounding, gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. What was I supposed to say? Hey, your mom drugged your drink at our engagement party. I have the footage. Wanna come see? It sounded insane, but it wasn't. I saw it with my own eyes. So I waited. I spent 2 days trying to act normal. I watched him closely. He never mentioned feeling sick that night. No dizziness, no nausea. Whatever she gave him didn't hurt him, or at least not that night. But what if it was something slow? Something meant to change him? I started digging. First, I called the caterer again. I asked them to send me a copy of the footage. They hesitated, but I pressed. I told them it might involve a crime. They finally agreed. Then I went to Google. I searched for colorless liquids that could be slipped into whiskey. I made a list. Some were sedatives. Some were hallucinogens. A few were fertility drugs. That last one made me sick to my stomach. Marlene had made several comments over the last year about grandchildren. You better not wait too long, she'd say. Your eggs aren't getting any younger. Adam always laughed them off. But now I started wondering, what if she was trying to force it? What if she thought I wasn't getting pregnant fast enough? I couldn't guess anymore. So I went to the pharmacy and bought a drug test kit. I waited until Adam went for a jog the next morning, and I carefully took a sample from his used water bottle. I knew it wasn't perfect, but I had to try something. The test came back with a faint line for benzodiazepines. I Googled it. Anti-anxiety meds. Sedatives. Tranquilizers. She drugged him. She really drugged him. I felt the room spin. That night, I sat him down. I told him everything. The note in the cake. The footage. The test. He stared at me for a long time. Then he said the worst thing he could have said. I don't believe it. I was stunned. You think I made this up? I think you misunderstood, he said. You're under a lot of stress. This is a big time for us. Maybe you're seeing things that aren't there. I pulled up the video. I made him watch it. He watched. His face was blank. That could be anything, he said. Maybe it was just flavoring or a joke. A joke? You saw her pour it in your drink. I don't know what to tell you, he said. It doesn't prove anything. I realized then I could show him a full confession and he'd still defend her. I didn't say anything else. I went to bed in silence. I laid there for hours, staring at the ceiling. My heart was broken, not just by Marlene. By him. He didn't protect me. He didn't believe me. He didn't even want to know the truth. So I started planning. Not to run. To fight. If Marlene wanted to play games, fine. I'd play. But I'd play smarter. And I'd hit back where it hurt. I started small. I needed more information. I went to their house when Adam thought I was at work. I knew where they kept the spare key. I let myself in. Her medicine cabinet was a goldmine. She had several prescription bottles that weren't hers. Some were under her husband's name. Some were expired. Some were in other women's names I didn't recognize. I took photos of everything. Then I found a locked drawer in her bedroom. It wasn't hard to pick. A cheap old lock. Inside was a notebook. Every page was filled with scribbles. Notes on Adam's childhood. His habits. His girlfriends. His exes. Me. Pages and pages about me. She wears too much makeup. Talks too loud. Not classy. Unstable background. Poor posture. Fertility unknown. There were even sketches of our house, with little circles and arrows. Notes on where Adam liked to sit. What time he showered. What he ate for breakfast. I felt sick. This woman wasn't just a little controlling. She was obsessed. And now I had proof. I didn't sleep the night I found the notebook. I sat in my car in the driveway, flipping through page after page. My hands were shaking. It wasn't just controlling behavior anymore, it was stalking. She'd been tracking us like a scientist studying animals in the wild. I copied every page with my phone, making sure to get clear shots of everything. Then I put the notebook back exactly the way I found it, locked the drawer, and left. I started keeping a journal of my own after that. Not for me, for evidence. Every time Marlene said something strange, every time Adam brushed it off, every time I noticed something that didn't feel right, I wrote it down. Date, time, details. She called 3 times a day. She left long voicemails, sometimes just breathing. Once, she sang an old lullaby off-key and didn't say anything else. I saved it. I logged it. Adam didn't want to talk about it anymore. He was distant. He stopped making plans with me. Started working late. His phone was always face down. I started to think maybe Marlene had gotten to him in more ways than I thought. Maybe she'd been in his head for years, telling him how to feel, how to think, how to choose. And now she was doing it again. But I wasn't going to let her win. I made an appointment with a private investigator. Her name was Valerie. Ex-cop. Straight talking. She didn't raise an eyebrow when I told her everything. She just nodded and said, "You're not crazy. This happens more than you think." I gave her the photos of the notebook, the footage from the caterer, the test results, the voicemails. She said she'd dig deeper. 3 weeks passed. Valerie called me in for a meeting. She didn't sound like herself. Serious. Quiet. "You're going to want to sit down," she said. She showed me a report. A thick one. Marlene wasn't just obsessive. She had a history. In 2002, she was investigated for giving her husband's ex-wife a sedative in her coffee. The woman had passed out and broken her collarbone. Charges were dropped for lack of evidence. In 2007, she was fired from a nursing home for inappropriate handling of medications. She took home a cocktail of pills that were never accounted for. There were sealed court records, custody battles, whispered reports from neighbors about fights, screaming, things thrown from windows. Adam never told me any of this. Then Valerie showed me the photos. Marlene had been following me. At the grocery store. At the gym. At the nail salon. In one photo, she was sitting 2 tables behind me at a diner, pretending to read a menu. But her eyes were locked on me. I felt the blood drain from my face. "Do I have enough to go to the police?" I asked. Valerie nodded slowly. "It's not a slam dunk, but it's getting close, especially with the footage and the test. But here's the thing. If you go now, she'll know, and she'll get smarter." I understood. We needed more. So I did the hardest thing I've ever done. I pretended everything was okay. I let Adam believe I'd dropped it. I smiled at Marlene when she called. I even invited her over for dinner. She came wearing pearls and a floral dress, like she was meeting royalty. She brought a homemade pie. I didn't eat it. She watched me the whole time, like she was trying to read my mind. And I watched her right back. I'd set up hidden cameras in the living room and kitchen before she arrived. Nothing illegal. Nothing with audio. just enough to keep my side of the story covered. Halfway through dinner, she asked to use the restroom. I let her, but she was gone for 20 minutes. After she left, I found the medicine cabinet open, my prescription bottles moved around. And I found a small vial under the sink. Clear liquid. No label. I took photos. Put gloves on. Sealed it in a bag. The next day, I gave it to Valerie. She sent it to a lab. When the results came back, I cried. The liquid was flunitrazepam. Rohypnol. Roofies. She'd planned to drug me. Not Adam. Me. I stared at that lab result for a long time. Rohypnol. I knew what that meant. It wasn't just about control anymore. It wasn't about being the better woman or the only voice in Adam's ear. She wanted to take me out of the picture. Maybe she hoped I'd wake up confused and ashamed. Maybe she thought Adam would believe I was unstable, unfaithful, or sick. Maybe she thought I'd disappear quietly, like a problem solved behind closed doors. But I wasn't going to disappear. I met with Valerie again. She said the evidence was now solid enough for law enforcement. Between the security footage, the drug vial, the photos, and her history, we had a strong case. Still, I asked for one more day. Just one. I needed closure. And I needed Adam to hear the truth from me, without him running to his mother to twist it into something else. So I invited him to dinner. Just him and me. I made his favorite roast chicken, garlic mashed potatoes, and green beans. I poured him a glass of wine. I didn't eat. I couldn't. He looked tired, like he hadn't been sleeping much either. Adam, I said, we need to talk. He looked up from his plate. This again? Yes, this again. I pulled out the lab report. I slid it across the table. I watched his face while he read it. He blinked. Twice. Then his jaw clenched. That's not real. It's real, I said. She left it in our house. In our bathroom. I found it the same night she was here. She wouldn't. She would. And she did. You don't want to believe it, Adam, because if you do, everything you know about her falls apart. But that's not my problem anymore. This is your mother. But this, I tapped the report. This is attempted assault. He didn't speak for a long time. His hands were shaking. You don't know her like I do, he said finally. She's not well. But she wouldn't hurt anyone. I stood up. You're right. I don't know her like you do. But I know who she is now. I gave him a folder. Inside were copies of everything. The pictures, the notebook pages, the test, the footage. I'm giving you one chance to do the right thing, I said. Tell the police the truth. Or I will. Either way, she's going to be charged. He didn't answer. That night, I packed my things. I left him the house. I didn't want anything from him. I didn't want a man who couldn't protect me or even believe me. I moved in with my cousin in Charlotte and gave my full statement to the police. Valerie handed over everything. The caterers gave their statements too. Within a week, a warrant was issued for Marlene's arrest. They found more drugs in her home. Multiple vials. More names. More targets. The police believe she'd done this before, maybe more than once. Maybe to Adam's past girlfriends. Maybe even to his ex-fiancée, the one who broke off their engagement and moved to Oregon without explanation. Marlene was charged with multiple counts of possession with intent to distribute a controlled substance and attempted poisoning. The DA pushed for maximum penalties. Her trial made local news. Adam testified. He cried on the stand. Told the court he never believed it until it was too late. That she was his mother, and he didn't want to see what was right in front of him. I watched every minute from the back row. When the verdict came in guilty on all counts, I felt nothing. No joy, no relief. Just silence. Adam called me a month after the trial. I let it ring. He left a voicemail saying he was sorry. Said he wished he'd believed me. Said he wished he'd protected me. He asked if I'd ever give him another chance. I deleted the message. Some betrayals you don't come back from. I'm in therapy now. I still have bad nights. Still flinch when I see someone who looks like her. Still wonder how far she would have gone if I hadn't fought back. But I'm not the same woman she whispered to at that dessert table. I'm not scared of her anymore. I survived her. And that's something she'll never take away from me.